All right. Happy Monday, everybody. This is Bethany Dotson, relationship coach and trauma sensitive yoga therapist for high achieving professional women who have a usually lifelong pattern of attracting emotionally unavailable partners or even narcissistic partners, and who want to find love in the second half of their life. So, if you have questions for me today, drop them below in the comment box. If you hop on live, please feel free to say hello. Catch this on replay, comment hashtag replay. Let me know if you have questions. And today I'm going to be talking about 3 core traits that make you magnetic to a healthy partner. And most people believe that they already have the core traits that are desirable in a healthy relationship, or that a healthy partner would want in them, meaning they're kind, they're empathetic, they're compassionate, they're caring, they're a giver, they do all of the right things, they're nice people, they have great hearts. But unfortunately, being kind and empathetic and caring and being goal oriented and being driven and being ambitious are not enough to attract an emotionally available relationship. Oftentimes, these traits can be great magnets for the people that you don't want, specifically narcissistic partners or people who might be emotionally abusive or manipulative in some way, because in research it's shown that these types of people tend to be attracted to more strong, caring, conscientious women. Now, if it's been your pattern that you've attracted narcissists, this does not need to be your fate moving forward. And so today I want to talk about 3, and there's really 4, but I'm going to try to lump them together, 3 core traits that make you magnetic to the type of person you want, and that will shift your lifelong pattern of unhealthy relationships, even if this has been your pattern your entire life and you're 40 or 50 plus, and you've never really met the soulmate, the emotionally healthy partner that you would love to have in your life. So the first core trait is you are committed. You are committed. And by the way, these are the core traits that we see in our clientele when we work with them, that sets them apart from other people who might not get results, who might not be ready yet for whatever reason to take the journey of healing their own inner relationship trauma, their own anxiety, their own subconscious limiting beliefs, their own blocks to love. So these traits that I'm breaking down for you today are the same things that we look for in our clients, and the same traits that our clients have who go from complete emotional mess or stuck in their life or stagnant, living a small life after a divorce or a toxic relationship, and that help them cross that bridge, cross that big gap to get them into emotional freedom, confidence every single day, joy every single day. They're living lives that they love, and they're attracting great partners. They're dating and making much healthier choices. So the first core trait is you are committed, 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 committed. One of the number one reasons that I see women who, and I've been there personally myself, who attract emotionally unavailable men or stay too long in the wrong relationships, or who have a hard time, who struggle with ignoring red flags. Like that's a pattern that's followed them around, not just in intimate partners, but they tend to do that also in friendships or work relationships in their career. They tend to bury their head in the sand around conflict and want to keep the peace. People pleasing is a trauma response, if you didn't already know that. But what happens is that you're not committed. If you're doing these things, you're not truly committed to what you want. You might tell yourself, I want a healthy relationship. I want to get married again. I want to have a wonderful life with someone. I want to share my life with someone. I want to be fully myself with this person. And then what happens is that you get into the dating journey, which will be very challenging. Usually it always is. And you will meet someone who almost meets what you want. And what will happen 9 times out of 10 is, if you have a pattern of getting with commitment phobic men or men who can't give you what you need, is that you might give up your own commitment to your dream to make a relationship work, to make a potentially toxic, unhealthy relationship work. This looks like ignoring red flags. This looks like giving somebody too much benefit of the doubt. This looks like giving someone too long of a runway. This looks like minimizing emotional abuse. This looks like minimizing red flags. When you do this, in any kind of a relationship scenario, you are not truly committed to yourself. And so, if you are not truly committed to what you want and you don't remain, you might set the intention, I want to have a healthy partner. I want to break my cycle of narcissistic relationships. I want to do the healing work inside of me so that I'm no longer pulling this type of person in and I'm no longer staying with this type of person. If you are not committed fully to that dream, then what will happen is that you're going to start to attract people who aren't truly committed to themselves either, or they might not be committed to what they want either. You're going to attract people who also have commitment issues because on some level, you are giving up your own commitment to yourself. You're setting the intention and you might make the commitment, I'm never going to fall for another unhealthy partner again. And you get into a lot of therapy and you binge watch a lot of stuff on narcissistic abuse. And then 2 years later, you go out and you fall for someone who is yet again emotionally abusive, maybe even worse than your ex. And what happens in that space of time is that somewhere you gave up your commitment to yourself. And people give up their commitments to themselves because of two things primarily. They have unhealed complex trauma, which is trauma that maybe happened in your childhood, in growing up, and you didn't have to have major trauma, but just the way that you were parented or your caregivers interacted with you. Or you could have complex trauma from being in a toxic relationship and being gaslit and manipulated and made to feel like you're crazy all of the time. This causes you to doubt yourself and to question yourself, which is going to feed into core trait number 2. And when you doubt yourself, you don't feel confident. And when you don't feel confident, you tend to not hold your ground to your own commitment, especially when you are in a challenging scenario like dating that's going to cause you to, feel lots of great feel good chemicals, oxytocin. You're going to get kind of swept off your feet, and you might have a tendency of losing that commitment to what you want and resort to minimizing red flags, minimizing potential bad signs, et cetera, to have that relationship. The second thing that causes people to lose their commitments to themselves is subconscious limiting beliefs. So subconscious limiting beliefs and complex trauma go hand in hand. So if you were raised in an environment where, maybe you had to stay small to keep the peace in your household, maybe you had to stay small in your marriage to keep the peace, you start developing beliefs about yourself subconsciously, meaning you're not aware of them, that there's something wrong with you, or that your needs don't matter, or that you have to try not to make a big scene, or you have to stay small, or whatever the case may be. And when you have these limiting subconscious beliefs, your subconscious beliefs take up 95% of your psychological real estate in your mind. And they influence the choices that you make. So when I look at people who say, I want to have a healthy relationship, and then they very quickly get into another toxic relationship 6 months later, 3 months later, or whatever, and they don't keep their commitment to themselves, it's because they have one of those two things going on, if not both. They've got unhealed complex trauma, and they've got negative subconscious beliefs that they have not yet overwritten, they have not yet reprogrammed, and they have not yet fully healed or overcome their complex trauma. So the first core trait that you need to have to break a lifelong pattern of attracting emotionally unavailable men, or your pattern of going years without going on a date, because you don't feel safe in relationships and you don't trust your own judgment, because every time you did in the past, it led to heartbreak and betrayal, and you don't trust other people with your own heart, it's because of your own commitment. Are you committed fully to doing whatever it takes to overcome the blocks in your mindset and in your heart and your psychology and in the choices that you're making to have a healthy relationship? And that means often doing very hard, scary, challenging things. Or are you more committed to your story of something's wrong with me? Online dating is full of narcissists. I can't trust my own judgment. I've got a broken picker. Are you more committed to those stories that you're telling yourself? Because if you're more committed to those stories, and this is often the case when I work with people, when they start first working and doing the work in the program, they drag all these negative limiting beliefs and stories with them. But if you're more committed to that, you're not going to get to your dream. You have to remain fully committed to what you want. Even if the universe puts a wonderful prospect, someone who is like 90% the type of guy that you want, the type of partner that you want, but he's got several major red flags, you have to be willing to remain committed to what it is that you want, not committed to what you don't want or the stories about yourself that you believe are keeping you from having a healthy relationship. So your first trait is commitment. Are you committed to yourself? Are you committed to your outcome, to your dream, to your goal of one day having a healthy relationship? Or are you more committed to telling yourself the story that men on dating apps suck and that you're too old and that it's probably it's too late for you and it's just not possible? You have a choice. Choose wisely. The second core trait that makes someone magnetic to Mr. Right and to healing a lifelong pattern of unhealthy relationships is they are decisive, meaning they are decision makers. They're able to make decisions relatively quickly. When something feels right for them, they make the decision. When something feels wrong for them, they make the decision. They don't wallow and linger in this gray area analysis paralysis. Now, being a decision maker might be something you're challenged with. If you stayed for many, 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 many years in an unhealthy relationship or marriage, your decision-making abilities have gone out the window because you had to silence yourself, cut off parts of your intuition that maybe knew that things weren't right or knew that things were unhealthy, but you couldn't quite put your finger on why it was working or not working. When you have that patterning in your brain, it causes you to live in fight or flight on a daily basis. I work with many, many women who have been out of the marriage or the relationship for years, but then they stay chronically busy in their day-to-day life because on some level, they don't feel safe enough to relax. They still feel the need, the compulsion to stay chronically busy and try to make things right and try to keep things perfect, and try to manage all of these juggling plates that they've got going on in their life, just like they tried to manage the impossible marriage or relationship that they were in years ago. So when you have and are living in fight or flight mode because of relational trauma, your brain functions differently. Your brain is constantly looking for threats. Your brain is programmed to think of what could go wrong, what could this person do, or what catastrophe could happen. You're kind of in this worst case scenario thinking. And when you have that thinking, you tend to limit yourself greatly about what's possible for you because, again, subconsciously, you still have crappy beliefs about yourself. And then your body innately and your brain don't feel safe with stepping out of the comfort zone and making a decision that's out of your comfort zone. And when people have this programming from, being gaslit for many years or being emotionally abused for many years, they don't trust their own decisions. They don't trust their own ability to make a decision and it be the right decision. And they will waffle in this analysis paralysis for many, many, many years. And I talk to a lot of women who've been out of the marriage or been out of the relationship for years, 5 years, 7 years, 11 years, and they've never fully made the decision to open themselves to love again. What they're making the decision to do is to try and see if it works. But what happens is they get on a dating app for a few months and they don't have any luck, or they get a bunch of dick pics, or they get ghosted, or they go on a date with, they go on like, 5 one-off dates with men that they have no chemistry with. And then they decide that love is too hard, that relationships are too hard because they have 40 years of past experience of being betrayed and heartbroken and made to feel crazy. So are you deciding that love is too hard and that relationships are too hard? Or are you deciding to open your heart, no matter how uncomfortable that might be in the beginning, no matter how painful at times that might be? When I work with clients, one of the things that we work on a lot early on is their ability to step out of their comfort zone on their own, just in their day-to-day life, and deal with the challenges that come from that. Deal with the own stories that come up in their mind about who they are and what are people going to think of them, and am I going to be weird or whatever. Because when you start dating, you're going to be met with challenges. It's inevitable. You're going to be met with rejection. You're going to be met with abandonment feelings. You're going to be met with a great, perfect guy who's covered in red flags that you want to look past. These things are going to come up, and you have to decide that you are going to be up for that challenge in order to get to your soulmate. Because if you're deciding that love is too hard, or that men your age have too much baggage, or that online dating is full of narcissists, you are essentially deciding to stay stuck. So core trait number 2, are you decisive? That is a core trait that we look for and that we notice when someone changes her life after narcissistic relationships and opens herself to love and opens herself to a life that's wildly successful and emotionally a lot healthier, and eventually a healthy partner. Core traits number 1, she's committed. She doesn't care how hard it's going to be. She's already been through enough crap. Number 2, she's deciding she wants the relationship. She's deciding, I'm going to try again. I am committing myself to living with an open heart. I am no longer deciding that it's not possible for me, or that a crappy, if online dating is full of losers or whatever. You are deciding for your dream, not for your limitations to stay stuck. So that's core trait number 2, decisiveness. Core trait number 3, resourcefulness. Resourcefulness. I speak to a lot of women, and I often work with a lot of women who have, they're high achievers, probably overachievers. They work really, really hard in their careers. They've met a lot of success in their work life, but they're highly unsuccessful in their love life, usually because they have a subconscious belief that in order to be successful, I have to work really, 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 really hard, to the point of burning myself out, basically, to the point of overextending myself and having no boundaries and bleeding myself dry. And if that's the pattern that she brings into her work life, guess who that's a match for in her love life? Unavailable, manipulative partners that are going to take advantage of that. And so she brings that same psychology into her love life and attracts someone who's a match for that. So, resourcefulness. Are you staying chronically busy? Are you staying impossibly busy in your career and stressing yourself out and feeling exhausted? Are you staying chronically busy to avoid being alone and avoid feeling lonely? I work with a lot of women who pack their schedules back to back because they hate coming home to an empty house. They hate going out to the grocery store and seeing a cute couple holding hands. It gives them, they hate going to their doctor's appointment or going to a new specialist and then not having anyone to put down as an emergency contact. And so to avoid that feeling of inferiority, or feeling like something's wrong with them, or feeling like the odd man out, or feeling lonely, they stay chronically busy. And staying chronically busy as a distraction to help yourself not feel bad feelings essentially makes you unavailable because you're emotionally unavailable for yourself. You're not available enough for yourself to give yourself the space to address and work through and feel the feelings so that you can release them and move forward and transmute them into better feelings. What you're doing is basically distracting yourself and coping. And if you are emotionally unavailable for yourself because you're coping with staying chronically busy or you're coping with shopping, I talk to a lot of women. If they're not chronically busy, they're doing a few other things. They're shopping too much. They're spending money on shit they don't need. They are having a few too many glasses of wine every night. They have a mommy juice habit, like a wine habit every night. They might, be having a bag of sugar cookies after they get home from work. So whether it's some kind of comfort, some kind of pleasure to distract themselves from feeling their loneliness, from feeling inferior, from feeling separate, from feeling like they're all on their own. And when you do this, you're not giving yourself the space to be available for yourself and work through the inner blocks that you have. And you're also definitely don't have the space to bring a partner in to your life like that. So being resourceful means that you're willing to create the space, you're willing to create the time, the energy. If you choose to get professional help, which we always recommend, especially if you're over 40 and you've never had a healthy relationship and you have trauma in your past, and you want to have a healthy relationship, you're willing to be resourceful and invest in yourself to get that type of help and support that you need to get you from point A to point B. So if you're constantly mired in coping strategies like chronic busyness, shopping too much to make yourself feel better, these are also called sugar highs or band-aids because they leave you feeling good for a little bit, but then you come back down. It's like a peak experience. You go spend a lot of money on something you don't really need. You feel good for a few days. And then, on Thursday, you start wondering what am I going to do for the weekend? I don't really have any plans. So learning to be resourcefulness is the third core trait. Are you making time and space for yourself to heal your inner blocks? Are you putting energy into learning to communicate better in your relationships, to set better boundaries, to be vulnerable in dating, to start dating again? Or are you more committed to your coping strategies of staying busy and shopping and doing whatever else is that you're doing to try to make yourself feel better? And hoping that you find the right guy. That's just a matter of swiping. It's just a numbers game. Let me tell it to you straight. Dating is not a numbers game. It is an energy game, period. It does not matter how many swipes or how many dates you go on. You can go on, a million dates, and the one guy that feels right for you is going to be a narcissist because that person matches your psychology. That person matches your subconscious beliefs. I tell my clients, your subconscious beliefs about yourself are going to be a match for somebody else's subconscious beliefs about themselves and about people. So we have to do really deep inner work to clear this out and do it on a consistent basis to help you be magnetic to amazing Mr. Right. So just to quickly recap, 3 fundamental traits, core traits. You probably already have the package. You probably already have friends. Your family has probably already told you you're a great catch. I don't understand why you don't have a wonderful partner in your life. You can be all of the kindness, the empathy, the compassion, the great career, the ambition. But if you're still committed to dating is hard, I don't trust myself, I don't trust other people, I don't trust online dating, I don't trust myself to make the right choice next time, you're keeping yourself stuck. You're more committed to what you don't want, and you're not committed to what you want. Number 2 core trait, you're decisive. Are you deciding that relationships are too hard and that they're too draining and that it's too much work? And are you deciding based on your past experiences that relationships aren't worth it? Or are you deciding that something's wrong with you? Are you deciding that it's too hard? Or are you deciding that, yeah, I know I feel that way, but I'm going to do whatever it takes because I'll be damned if I let my past keep ruining my future. Are you deciding that it's possible for you? One of the biggest things that I hear on calls with clients and potential clients is they don't believe a healthy relationship is possible for them. They've been burned so many times. They've fallen for men that they thought were right for them so many times. They've experienced so much cognitive dissonance that at this point, they don't even believe it's possible. They can't even fathom that that would be possible. Are you making that decision? Or are you deciding that even though you don't know what it feels like, you're going to have faith and you're going to put your heart and your soul and your perseverance and your resilience back on the line in order to attract the love that you want? And then the last and third core trait is resourcefulness. Are you keeping yourself unavailable? Are you keeping yourself emotionally unavailable by not dealing with your own shit, by not looking at your own codependency and healing it? Are you keeping yourself unavailable by being too chronically busy, by avoiding relationship because you feel that you feel like you can't trust other people, you afraid of you're attracting the wrong person again? 9 times out of 10, it's not really the fear of attracting another Mr. Wrong or another unhealthy partner. What most women are really afraid of, is actually attracting someone amazing. That's what you're really afraid of, because that is way out of your comfort zone. Attracting men who can't give you what you need, attracting men who have issues, who have commitment issues, who have some kind of internal dark struggle going on, is really more comfortable for you than attracting someone who is fully available and fully emotionally present, fully supportive. That is usually what most people are really afraid of, because it's unknown, it's uncomfortable. You've been doing love one way the majority of your entire life, to suddenly start doing it a different way, even though that way might be healthy, is uncomfortable for people. And what happens is that it goes against every single subconscious belief you have in your mind. And when you've made it over 40, your subconscious beliefs are basically ingrained at that point. And it takes commitment. It takes being decisive. It takes being resourceful. If you work with professional help, it takes being coachable, being willing to be coached out of your comfort zone, being willing to take the coaching and apply it in your life. Those are the traits that ultimately make you magnetic. When you're committed to what you want, when you're committed to your own needs, when you're deciding that you want a healthy relationship, you're going to do whatever it takes to get there. When you are resourceful and you're going to give up all of your coping strategies, you're going to give up all of your hiding places. And when you are coachable and you're going to do whatever it takes to get there, those are the core traits that make you magnetic to Mr. Right. Because Mr. Right probably has those same core traits inherently within his own psychology. So if you have any questions about that, please drop them in the comments below. But those are the 3 core traits that we look for when we invite people into work together. And those are the 3 core traits that we see time and time again in clients who are the most successful in healing their unhealthy pattern in relationship and ultimately attracting a healthy partner. So if you heard this and you recognized, yeah, I'm more committed to what I don't want. I'm not really deciding that, I'm in this, people stay in this indecision spot because they've had so much practice being indecisive in a toxic relationship. 99.9% of the women that I speak to knew within the first month at least that something was not right with their partner, but they weren't able to make the decision to do anything about it. They spent 10 or 20 years not deciding to do anything, not deciding to leave, whatever. So when you have that programming, deciding to open your heart to a relationship again can feel terrifying. You have to be decisive. If you recognize that you are not decisive, you're committed more to what you don't want and the feelings of something's wrong with me, and you've got a lot of coping strategies that are blocking you from attracting love, and you are ready to be committed to what you want, you're ready to be decisive and go for your dream and not decide that it's too hard, and you are ready to be resourceful and open yourself fully to the experience of having a healthy relationship and doing whatever it takes, going through the challenges, walking through the fire, then book a free breakthrough call. Go to bethanydotson.com/talk. This is for single women. You're no longer in a toxic relationship. You're not still talking to a toxic partner. You're not still sleeping with your ex. You are done. You are ready to move forward and get what you want in intimate romantic relationships. You are professional, meaning you're not struggling to pay your bills. Basically, you have the career area of your life going pretty good. On the outside, someone would probably not think that you have personal challenges. You're successful. You're established in your career. That area of your life is pretty much set. And then the last and third quality that we look for, you've already done some therapy. You've already done some initial emotional processing. You've already gotten to therapy after your divorce or after you left your ex or while you were trying to leave your ex, but you're still stuck. You still feel emotionally stuck. You're stagnant. You still feel like life is kind of small and limited, and you're ready to break out of that and ultimately attract a healthy relationship. If that's you, go to bethanydotson.com/talk, and we will show you how it's done. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I look forward to connecting with you in the future on another live stream. Take care.